On this week's episode, we are discussing the real reason that hairdressers are closed on Mondays, how to spot a supermodel from the very beginning and which one we're talking about, and never retiring. It's Sam McKnight. Sam, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad it's not too sunny out. Because you wouldn't be here, would you? You'd be in your garden.
No, I'd still come. I'd give up the garden for you.
Yeah. Maybe not a good tulip planting day, though.
No, well, that's over. But it's a good time to be planting all the perennials now, though mine rotted in the rain at the weekend. So, we've got to start again.
Can we just talk about the gardening? I mean, obviously I have a nice list of questions and I know your history and stuff, but where did the gardening come from? Was it literally just like a refuge from your day-to-day life, which must have been utterly mental?
Yeah, well, funnily enough, I used to live in Maida Vale, and I used to go and get a deck chair and do a little sort of book reading hour or two in the sun in Regent's Park at the end of a nice day after work or whatever. And I used to love that. And I'm in the rose garden, that little bit. And I started thinking, I wouldn't mind a little garden of my own, because I was on a top floor flat, which I loved. And I think old age kicks in. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking, maybe I'll look for a house with a garden. And I ended up finding a massive garden attached to a house. And I took the plunge and got it. And that was 13 years ago. And it's been just the most incredible 13 years. It's been amazing. Because you are kind of known as well in the industry among peers and stuff as Mr. Gardening. It's literally your thing. A lot of people follow you on Insta, and it's not for hair anymore, is it? It's literally pictures of flowers. Yeah, no, you're right. Although there haven't been many this spring because it was terrible. But I think for me, you're absolutely right. It's the refuge. Mm. I get asked this question sometimes, and I say gardening is solitary. Yeah. Whereas I'm surrounded by loads of people, loads of egos all day long, and we love it because we all feed off each other and it's fantastic. But I don't want to go to a restaurant at night. I don't want to go out with people at night. I used to spend my life in clubs. A club, and I can't even imagine that now. And I think the garden's my new nightclub, I guess. Yeah. But it's just me on my own, and the flowers don't talk back. Yeah, and they don't have an ego. Don't have an opinion. And you don't have to brush their hair. Absolutely. You don't have everyone going, can I just have a quick touch up while you're there? It's just, who has I don't have the time or the patience. How long was that your life for in terms of that intensity of shows and shoots? I started doing photo shoots with Vogue in 1977. Mm. So I don't know how many, almost 50 years now, really. Yeah. And I'm still, still doing shows and shoots. But I don't do as many as I used to because we've kind of switched our focus onto products. And since the pandemic, when the traveling stopped, I kind of liked that. Yeah, I liked it. And I took that as a bit of a sign from whoever sends us signs. I just took that as an opportunity, really, to just take care of myself. And take your foot off the pedal a little bit. So it doesn't mean people say, when are you going to retire? And I'm like, what would I do? Oh my God, it's the horrible R word. The R word. No. Anyone I know who retires, they don't really live much longer. Why would you stop? Yeah, my dad was like that. Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think you can slow down.
I think that's the key. It's not even so much slowing down, it's doing it on your own terms. You make your own decisions. You're not at the beck and call of a magazine or a designer or whoever, a celebrity. You do your own thing in your own time. Yeah. And then the other stuff you can slot in, and you can, I'm lucky to have had a great career, and I do have the luxury of choosing what I do, and I have the luxury of saying no. I think when you're young at the beginning, you just can't say no to anything. You say yes to everything. Yeah, of course, that's the key, isn't it? Yeah. Of course. And then getting older and I was 69 yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And the retirement word is just not in my vocabulary, really. I don't even know how to pronounce it properly.
No, I don't think it's... Do you think that's something different in the creative world than in the sort of traditional corporate world? Because most people I know in traditional corporate jobs can't wait to get out.
Listen, if I was in that kind of world, I'd probably be the same. And if I worked, my mum worked in a grocery. My mum worked in the co-op till she was 60. Yeah. Actually, but even her, she didn't really want to retire. She wanted to do part-time, but they couldn't. And I think I've got it in my genes. I've got the work ethic bred into me. Yeah. But I think if I was in a job, I used to be a window cleaner. I used to work in a sock factory. If I was still in those jobs, I'd be wanting to retire.
I'd be well gone. Yeah.
So I'm lucky.
We had Val Garland on who is that woman, Val. She does makeup, I think.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I know her.
And she was a riot. I mean, she had us in stitches, but one of her memories that she shared was a show she did with you with Vivien Westwood. And the brief was horses. And she said that she just went, how am I going to do horses? And I said, well, it's easier for Sam because he can just do a mane, right? And she went, I said, oh, you can do whatever you want. What am I going to do with horses? When you think back, is there one particular designer whose shows you always look forward to? You're always like, oh, I can't wait for this.
I mean, there's three.
Go for it. I was literally going to say you can have three.
There are three. And one is definitely Vivien. And I was working with Vivien back in the early 90s when she first showed in person. I met Vivien properly at Kinky Galinky nightclub, and we were worse for wear. And I think we were lying on the floor.
Why were you at Kinky Galinky?
It was the most amazing club, Kinky Galinky. One of the most amazing clubs you've ever been to. It was fantastic. And this was 1990. And she asked me to come. Her and Andreas asked me to come and do their show in Paris. They were showing in Paris. Off I trotted. And then I spent the last however many years doing Vivien shows with her. And many with Val. Oh my God, we had such fun. There was one I remember in particular where Vivien showed us a drawing of a man. It was like a 17th century drawing of a man running down the stairs and his hair was on fire. And she said, oh, that's what I'd like for the hair. And Val's looking at me thinking, okay, where are we going with it? We're going to get the lighter fuel out. And anyway, we dyed hair like flames. And what one of the amazing things about Vivien was she would sit in the chair and Val would do her makeup and I would do her hair, the same as the models in the show. And sometimes she would actually get on the runway.
Yeah.
We did one show where we got the rubbish out of the bins in the office when we were doing the looks for hair and makeup, and we sewed them together onto hairbands and things and pinned them in the hair, and that was the look of the show. It was the beginning of the very beginning of people recycling, talking about it. And she wanted to make this big statement, so she would like biscuit packets, things like that. We didn't take the dregs. We took the kind of
something that was clean.
Yeah, and bits of old hair extensions. And Vivien, I've got the most amazing film on my phone of Vivien walking in the runway with bits of sort of paper and things. And she just had the absolute total commitment. And
totally.
Val and I understood her sort of, she'd go off on a tangent. She'd want the hair like this, but like this, but like that, and the makeup maybe like that. And quite often, just before the girls went on the runway, she'd just take her hand, she'd smear the makeup across the face and mess the hair up. But you're kind of prepared for it.
You knew she was going to do it.
All the assistants who had never been there before were kind of chins hitting the floor. Val and I are just so used to it. I love working with Val. Yeah, we've had a lot of laughs.
Most of which
and
I'm
kind
sure
of that's
can't be.
what a lot of it is all about. Is having fun.
It's having fun.
Because let's face it, I think that's missing a lot in fashion these days. It's
beauty.
There's a lot of big money and seriousness, and I think we're missing the point sometimes. It's not just about looking good, it's about feeling good.
Yeah.
Right? And having a bit of lightheartedness.
I think that's one of the reasons why Charlotte has done so well.
Yeah.
Because she's mental.
Yeah.
In the best way.
Yeah.
Doesn't give a fuck. I mean, she just is Charlotte, right? So that's what they've managed to capitalize. I mean, the ad she did on her Insta recently where she goes, join me, darlings, and then goes to do a cartwheel and obviously switches to a gymnast doing it. And then she bounces up and goes, darlings. And I'm like, there are certain people in the industry you will never see doing anything like that, you know? So Vivien's one.
Like Vivien and Charlotte and like Valerie, like individual people like that. They're committed. They're committed to doing whatever it is they have to do, and they really enjoy it.
Yeah, they rebel in it. So what's Vivien's one? You had three.
Oh, Vivien, Carl at Chanel.
Now
Carl
you're
at Chanel and Fendi.
I can't.
And I had 12 amazing years. I mean, I was at 52 when I first, because I'd worked with Carl a few times before, and then I had a gap where the people Val and I worked with Nick Knight for many years, and then Nick took a year off to do a book at an exhibition. So Val and I were like, oh, oh, we're
Now
what we're going to do now. and Carl asked me to do a job, and then the next thing I was doing the shows, and that's the beauty of this business. You never know what corner it's going to take, but you have to say yes. You can't hesitate. You have to take the opportunity.
We can make it work.
To grasp the opportunity. Yeah. And so I went on to thinking I would do a couple of jobs with Carl, because he did the photos, he designed the clothes, he was just all consuming. And
committed.
It was the committed, and it was the most amazing 12 years, because I was no spring chicken, and it took a lot of my time, and it was a lot of travel backwards and forwards to Paris. But how amazing to get that in your 50s and 60s!
Crazy.
I mean, incredible. And the other one, who I'm still working with this day, is Dries van Noten, who is a very, very completely different person, committed the same way in a very different way, very Belgian. It's a very different aesthetic, but his vision is it's all about the details. So it's not the big fancy show like Vivien or Carl and the sort of attention grabbing. We would sometimes do a gold leaf parting. We would sometimes dye some hair pieces in the same patterns of the clothes and just kind of fit them under the hair somewhere. So you had to kind of look twice. We used a lot of feathers as sort of underneath the hair as little fringe. We did really, really beautiful details for Dries. And so I've been really lucky to work with a broad spectrum of amazing, committed
iconic
creators.
People, really,
Yeah, really.
I mean, I can't imagine what you're...
And it all rubs off.
Yeah.
It just rubs off. But that creativity just... If it doesn't rub off, you're in the wrong job.
You're in the wrong job.
Yeah,
for sure. I was going to say, I can't imagine what your archive is like. I mean, have you kept anything in terms of like
everything? Yeah, I've just had it all out of storage. It's in the top floor of my house, and I don't know what to do. There's a lot of it that probably needs to go to a museum, I think.
Yeah.
But I did a book about 8 years ago of a retrospective, and when we actually got all the plastic boxes of magazines and t-shirts and things like that, we had 40,000 images.
Jesus.
To go down to 350, I think. We managed to get it down to, I think, 900 in the end.
You can't go,
them in. And,
who do you drop? You're like, no, that's Naomi.
Well,
we can't
the funny
lose
thing
her.
is you have an emotional attachment to a lot of them. And then, but when you start going through them, you're like, okay, there's no hair in that one. No, there's no hair in that one. No. This one's too dark. You can't really see. You know that it's quite easy to go. But getting down to the last couple of thousand is because you're emotionally attached to the day.
Yeah,
and to the people in it, and some of the team might not be with us anymore, and or we all might have been having a really bad day that day, and something happened, and so you have that emotional attachment to every single image that you worked on. And there's some you'd forgotten about, and but do you know what was really nice? I had to contact everyone to get permission to use the images. So I was contacting people amazingly on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
The wonderful tool of social media, which when you use it properly is really incredible.
It is a tool.
And it's brought me in touch with loads of people that I would never have ever been in touch with again. It's been lovely. It's been great. It was a nice experience.
I think you're right, though, in that it needs to be in some kind of a museum, because when I went to see the McQueen exhibition at the V&A, I had tears in my eyes. I mean, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm not big in fashion. I'm just, because mainly I've been 5'10", 5'11"-ish. I shrunk an inch with the last kid. 5'10", 11-ish. And then couldn't afford, high-end fashion, and wasn't the size for it.
But you can look at it.
And I could look at it, but I only really got into looking at it as I got older.
Right.
But with McQueen, it was, and I don't really do art. I always joke I'm a peasant. I was making Bao laugh. I was like, my husband's the arty one. I go, that's nice. And he'll be like, well, actually what they're kind of trying to construe. And I'm like, whatever.
I'm kind of joining you on that one a bit, yeah.
I'm just, but the McQueen exhibition really brought home to me how important it is that people in the creative world keep their archives.
Yeah.
Like just look after their archives.
Yeah. It's hard to keep clothing though. Mine is photos. I have a great wig. I have an amazing collection of classic wigs we've done in shows and things, but most of them are we've recreated them because we haven't got room to keep. We just don't have room to keep all that stuff. But mostly what I have is pictures, magazines, and tear sheets. But it's a lot, and I think there's a massive collection of fashion imagery there from mid 1970s to now. So.
What's been sort of some of the most like iconic shoots that you've done that people would instantly know the shoot and not necessarily who did the hair or the makeup or what the dress was or anything like that, but they would know the image?
Probably a Princess Diana one, because I worked with her for 7 years, and there's one where the first day I met her, we were doing a shoot for Vogue with Patrick Demarchelier, and we didn't know it was going to be her, this sort of leggy blonde comes bouncing up the
They didn't
stairs.
tell you?
No. We were doing a few people. We didn't know she was going to be one of them. See, I was living in New York then, though, and I didn't really know much about them, you know, so I wasn't really phased.
Yeah.
Right? Also, she was so charming and funny and lovely, and did whatever you want, and she was great straight away, and so they put her in a strapless white satin couture gown, and Patrick was the first person to really kind of take unroyal pictures of her, apart from the paparazzis. You know, he just said, "Oh," and his English was really bad, and I would translate. And he said, "Oh no, sit down." So she sat on her chair. No, on the floor. And she's kind of like, "What, on the floor and this?" And then, "Yeah, you sit there. And he kind of disarmed the way he got his image was he would be a bit vague like that. Suddenly there's this amazing picture of, I think I was probably translating his instructions. Even his French she couldn't understand. And she was laughing. And, I've got it as a fridge magnet now. It's one of those where she's got a tiara on. And I'd made her hair look short, even though it was big and fluffy. And that day I cut her hair after that, and then she was short after that. Anyway, that's probably the most iconic one. And then the one where Naomi fell off her shoes, which I'm hoping is going to be in this exhibition.
It must be.
So it must be. It's got to be.
It's got to be.
Because I remember Yasmin Le Bon and I were watching the very small 1990s monitor, probably black and white, backstage. And it's probably a lantern show. And so we see Naomi, and I saw the ankle go.
Yeah, it goes out.
Yeah, you can see, and she fell. And everyone's kind of worried about the ankle. And I was thinking, please don't let the wig fall off, because I saw the wig wobble like that. And my eye was on that. But she was amazing. She bounced up, smiled, bounced up, and off she went. And then you think, well, that's why they get the big bucks.
That's why they get the big bucks. Do you find now that it's... obviously, because you can pick and choose your work. What do you find yourself gravitating towards? Do you prefer doing one thing over another?
No, I still love to. Still do a few shows, and I still do shoots. I did a shoot yesterday. I think it's the people that I go to. I go to people that I'm going to have a nice day with.
Who needs the drama?
I've never been the creative that thrives on stress, negativity, and torture. As soon as I sense the torture, I'm not coming back.
Yeah, see ya.
I'm just not coming back because that's not. And I know other people work well under those conditions. No, I just shut down. I just.
Who has the time?
I just think, oh God, please stop it.
Who has the time?
No, leave that at home. So, but I get some people do. It's not for me. So for me, it's about. Well, who's going to be there? Who's doing makeup?
What's the job?
Who's the photographer? What is it? Give me all the details.
What's it for? Yeah. And then I'll let you know. What's the weather going to be like? Am I going to be in my garden?
And how much are they paying? Yeah.
Show me the money.
Yes.
I'm at the show me the money stage.
That has a lot to do with it. Yeah.
How did you start as a hairdresser?
You have to bear with me on this one because it wasn't like that. It wasn't like it is now. Then, my first show I did, I think, was for the Emmanuels.
Wow.
I worked in Molton Brown.
Right.
Molton Brown was the coolest hairdressing salon at the time in South Molton Street. The building still, there's a kind of, it's got curved windows in the middle of the street. Absolutely divine. It was all natural products. They were the first to do that. And they did makeup, macrobiotic food on the top floor, so you had to sneak your bacon sandwich in the back door and hide it in the basement, and which we did a lot. Sorry, Michael and Caroline, but we did, as if they didn't know. And I was told to go and do this fashion show, and I had done a couple of shoots before where I was absolutely terrified, but I kind of loved it. Anyway, because the person who was doing the show couldn't do it. I think it was probably Kerry Bourne, because Kerry worked there then, and I got sent with one assistant, and I think there were 8 models, and we had to do chignons. And basically that was a show then. 8 models. They changed probably 6 times.
Yeah, run them off, run them on.
I mean, I watched what people were doing. I would watch what Carrie was doing in the salon, but then after that, I was pretty much, I learned my trade for 3 years, and then...
But did you train in Scotland?
I trained in Scotland.
Right, so that's my point is more like, how do you go from
Sorry.
working in Scotland?
I trained in Scotland, and then actually three of us from a salon, for some unknown reason, just decided one night to hitchhike a lift to London, and I think we had a £5 each in our pockets.
As you do.
And
the dream, right?
Yeah, and never really went back. Then ended up working in different salons. I worked in Elizabeth Arden. I worked in a few other places. Miss Selfridge was my first one. Miss Selfridge was on Regent Street, the smaller branch, and they had a salon at the back. God, I loved it in there. Wow. It was great. And it was called Hairworks, it was called. God, we had a lot of fun. You have a lot of fun working in hair salons. It's hard work, but my God, you have a lot of fun. And you know what I would say on this, if any kids are listening that want to get into the business?
Yeah.
Yes, and I know the hard work, the brushing the floors, the dealing with people, the shampooing, it sounds really daunting. But you know what? You will never laugh as much at work as you will in a hair salon, ever. I guarantee you that, you know. So anyway, I digress. What was I talking about? And then I saw all the Vogue covers were being done by someone at Molton Brown. So I wanted to be there. So I was probably quite ambitious. Got the job, blagged my way into that, then started doing shoots. Then in 1980, Michael, who owned the salon, decided we were all on shoots too much. We weren't making money, rightly so, get back in the salon. And I didn't want to do that. I'd got the bug.
Stepped out.
And I left the salon. And everyone said I was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's gone really badly for you.
Never work because there wasn't the work, but there wasn't the work. But the timing was right because ID opened later that year, and then the Face, and things just started to expand, and then suddenly London Fashion Week. Lynn Franks was my first agent, and Lynn started London Fashion Week, so we were all there. It's all about the timing as well, isn't it? Really, it's all about the timing. And then I moved to New York and was there when all the supers were coming on the go-sees, you know, and so we all kind of, I mean, I say we grew up together. I was 10 years older than them, but we kind of matured together, if you like, you know.
With the supers, was there anyone in particular where they walked in and you went, Jesus Christ?
Naomi, yeah. We were doing a shoot for, I think it was Elle or Bazaar. No, it was Bazaar because Elle hadn't started yet. And Harper's and Queen, it was called then, with Martin Brading, the photographer. And the girls would come on something called a go-see, where they come and see the photographer, get a Polaroid done, Well, she arrived at the Albert Memorial where we were shooting, and she had little clips or ribbons in her pigtails or something. She was coming from school. I think she had a school blazer on. She may correct me on that, but I think she had a school blazer on. And she's like, "Oh, my mum don't know I'm here. My mum don't know I'm modelling." Got off the bus. The energy was amazing. And I mean, she had no makeup or hair done, and she got in front of Martin to take a few photos, and we were just like, wow, she's amazing, you know, because she has that dancer's thing about her as well, you know, the sort of the limbs. And I mean, 6 months later, she was off. She was in New York working my salon, and that was quite extraordinary. That was amazing
to witness and just be like, you can just see it
happening. From Linda took a bit longer. Linda had to work much harder for it in the beginning. Linda had to persuade people but Linda learned her craft really, really well. And then in the end,
she was a proper student, wasn't she?
Yeah, Linda became, I don't want to say the best, but she became sort of unmatchable, really, because she could focus on flicking her hair, throwing a handbag, kicking up the heels and holding the skirt, and smiling. All at the same time. She really, really honed her craft, Linda. They all brought something. I mean, Tatiana was just that haunting,
the face,
wolf-eyed, just incredible. That stare was just so beautiful, and just such a lovely, soft, gentle person. Never elbowing her way into the front like the others, and always gently in the back, but really, really, really intense. That intense glamour was it was glamorous, wasn't it? And
so
Cindy was
glamorous.
just all American Cindy, Divine. Have I missed anyone out? Cindy,
Christy.
Linda, Christy. Oh my God, of course. Christy, the Eternal Beauty. I worked with her
outrageous.
recently, and it's
Why
just
doesn't
she's
she age?
extraordinary.
It's outrageous. I mean, she'll
but
probably
she's
say it's good
aging
genes
really
and yoga.
well.
Yeah.
You know, she's just aging so beautifully, and she's still really naughty. Mary Greenwell, who's another one of my amazing collaborators and very good friends, 40 years this year. Mary and I had dinner with all of them in London when they were there here in September, and oh my God, it was so nice because we all hadn't been in the same room for probably 30 years.
I have questions.
25 years.
Where
maybe.
do you manage to pull off that dinner, number one, without the paps knowing?
We went to Claridge's.
Oh.
We went to Claridge's.
Of course you did.
Yeah, we went to Claridge's.
Private room?
No. We're a nice table in the back because they're all from the days when they all stayed in Claridge's. So it's got a little special.
Yeah.
Claridge's always is a special place for me.
I love Claridge's.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, if I could live somewhere, money was no object.
I know.
Claridge's to me feels like nothing could go wrong there. And I've never had a nasty experience with a member of staff. You know, obviously I'm fortunate in that before I'm doing what I do now, I'd get invited to a lot of things with press and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And if they said Claridge's, I'd be like, I'll go. What is it? I'll go.
It's amazing.
What is it?
It's amazing. When I worked at Molton Brown, we used to have, because it was round the corner from Claridge's, so we used to have this little ritual where once a month, if we had some good tips, on a Saturday morning, we'd come early and have breakfast in Claridge's, and we just thought we were the bee's knees.
Yeah.
Claridge's breakfast, amazing. Bunch of hairdressers having Claridge's breakfast. Yeah. So Claridge's has always held that spot for me, and through that supermodel era, that was the hotel of choice.
Do you have any sort of memories of experiencing people and doing their hair and then being, I'm not going to ask you who, but being astounded that they went on to be successful? So the opposite, where you're a bit like, God, they must have been a grafter, or they're just good on camera, or have you had basically just been around where people have got to where they are because someone has spotted something and gone, we need that on a camera?
Yeah, quite a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm so glad I brought it up.
But usually we're meeting people when they're 15, 16, 17.
Right.
And I honestly think it's too young.
Yeah.
I think it's too young. I think there should be an 18 because men's too, but women's more, no. Their bodies, their faces, I mean, you know, their faces can change unrecognizably in 2 years. The bodies change, and the whole sort of thing about being slim to fit in the clothes, and then suddenly one season they've got boobs and they don't get booked for shows, and it's psychologically damaging, and I've seen it a lot, and it's horrible. It's really it's not wrong, but they feel that they take it personally.
Yeah.
You know,
how dare I grow boobs?
Well, they don't understand it. No. It's hard to understand rejection.
They're kids.
Yeah, they're children. They're children, you know. So I've seen a lot of that, and it's not nice, you know. But it's ruthless. I mean, it's ruthless, this business. And the thing is, if you are going to be in it, and if you are going to go on to be really successful, you need to develop a hard skin. And I don't know how you change that, because
more guidance, regulation type thing.
Listen, I'm a fan of regulation for the moment. I'm a fan of the idea of regulation certainly for the creatives in the fashion business, because there is none.
No, and
it is an absolute. It's the Wild West out there. I think models are much better taken care of now.
Yeah.
Because Erin O'Connor and a few other people set up. I can't remember what it was called. The Model something.
It wasn't like it was the model. It was like a hangout type thing, but it wasn't.
But they set some ground rules about being fed on shoots, and absolutely rightly so. And I think we need a similar thing for the creators, because it's too open for abuse now. Going back to what I was saying earlier about the business being really small when I started. Well, the business was really small. There was no regulation. There was no need for any regulation, because there was no abuse of anyone, because there weren't that many jobs. But now the business is huge. Yeah. I mean, we were listening to how big the beauty industry is yesterday at the British Beauty Council. It's 24 billion it brings in, and a huge part of that is the backstage thing, you know, and because all those brands are promoting their products, but there's no regulation about how hair and makeup people are treated, how much that I've been at shows when they'd think they could fit 150 people into a room this size, which would be totally illegal to transport cattle in, with no heat, no water, it got a little better after COVID. And I'm not saying this is the norm, but it happens too often. And it needs to change. I think it needs to change. And I think a lot of people are expected, especially at the beginning, to work for free.
I was going to say it's all for exposure.
For exposure, and
exposure doesn't pay the rent.
Editorial, but there is money. There's more money in the fashion beauty industry than there's ever been before, but it's all stuck at the top, like a lot of other things. It's not.
It needs to filter down. It
needs to filter down.
What made you go from using everyone else's product on shoots to thinking, I could make my own stuff here. I could do this.
Well, I consulted for various brands over 30 years and really enjoyed that. And I did a little line of products with a manufacturing company that were in Boots in the 90s, and they were really amazing. And then, it was a bad deal. I lost control, and I let it go in the end because it was turning out not what I wanted, and I'm not about putting my name on something I don't want. And we were using products that let's say 10, 12 years ago that had started to get very heavy. The hair product thing had started to get very heavy, and it got really boring. And there were all these claims being made that were just unnecessary, and you knew they weren't real.
It's not going to do that.
No. People didn't know how to use the products. For instance, to get the sort of Kate Moss, messy, shaggy look backstage at a show on 30, 40, 50 girls, we'd have to wet their hair with mousse. You do a volumizing mousse, blow dry it, then use hairspray and mess it up. Whereas we did 4 dry texturizers. So with those 4 dry texturizers to start with, we cut, and there had been a couple of dry texturizer things and dry shampoos out on the market, but they were too heavy and we couldn't brush them out. So I needed products. They were really instant. They worked in 10 seconds and you could brush them out. And really important that you could build, you could layer. Because I think what was happening was this product, it works. It's really strong and it works, but you put a little bit on and you think, oh, shit, what have I done? And I can't get it out. So you're not buying it again. So I wanted products to be user-friendly as well as I was saying earlier about it was really important that hairdressers use them. And they're all formulated by myself and my right-hand man, Eamon, who's been with me for nearly 30 years, a hairdresser. So it was all done from our point of view, from our years of experience,
with your skill.
And our needs, for what we need. And some, when you go and see people about investments, stuff, people would say, well, yeah, but you're doing models, you're not doing real people. The thing is, models' hair is exposed to 10 times more than models' hair is generally not good. Yeah. So if we can make it look good,
same with skin,
we're okay. Yeah, because it's overused. The tires are bald. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's when those girls like Eva Herzegovina, Shalom Harlow, when you see them 5 years after they've stopped modeling, they got a luscious mane of hair, because it's been done 6-7 times a day. So it was important to do products that worked well, that had light formulations, that smelt fucking fantastic, and that you could brush out. That would still leave your hair feeling great. I did an actress for Vanity Fair cover, Emily Blunt, a few years ago. It was just when we had done the hairspray. And we made her hair big. It was a big sort of Bardot kind of thing. And we were shooting all day. And at the end of the day, she was going to an event. And she said, I'm going to have to go and wash my hair. I said, no, you won't have to wash your hair. We brushed that out and put it up. And she was amazed. And it worked really well because you brush it out and you do something else with it. It's not going to ruin your hair. So it was about being user-friendly. It was been kind of just having a bit of fun. We had a bit of a laugh with the names. I mean, the names we rejected are far funnier than the names we used in the end. But they're all in a backlog there.
I think you should use them. I mean, every time I pick up happy endings, I have a little lull to myself. How have you found the retail world?
It's a whole sort of landscape that I'm learning a lot about. I'm loving it. It's great. But our online does really well for us, which I wasn't suspecting expecting so quickly.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because I'd never really had a huge online presence, and we've just been working on that for 18 months or so, and it's been really great. It's been brilliant.
Any extensions coming to the line, or like newness that's, because it doesn't seem like it's missing much, unless I'm just not.
Well, what we set out to do was create my entire kit so that I don't use anyone else's products, and I don't. I wanted products that looked amazing on a shelf, because we looked. When we launched 8 years ago, we launched am I rabbiting on now? Yeah.
No.
We launched our 4 dry stylers, and I launched with those because I knew when we launched Backstage, we didn't launch with a big thing in a magazine. We did everything backstage, and that was really important, because that's my.
If you nail it there, then you're sorted.
Yeah, and all the photographers are there. And it's out the next day. It's on the runway. That still really works for us. We get so much content from Backstage. So we did those 4 dry stylers. Well, there's no point in launching with shampoo backstage.
Yeah.
Because you don't use it very often backstage. So let's go with the styling. And the dry stylers were really instant, so people could see us using them. And then all the hairdressers started using them backstage. And it was a seeding with the hairdressers, because I knew if we could get it into the hands of hairdressers, we were a good bit of the way there. And I mean, hairdressers have been just so loyal to us. So that kind of, it was about being true to myself and my world, really, bringing people into my world and not trying to do something where I had to go into a strange world. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so sort of bringing everyone to our world.
This is how it will work for me.
This is how we use it. This is exactly how we use it. And this is how you can use it too. So yeah, I think and we still do that. We still launch a product backstage. We'll tease it. If we don't do the big launch, if it's not the right time, we'll tease it,
It's incredible though, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it in terms of, you could have just stayed in your lane. I hate that saying. I mean, I hate it, but to kind of step out and go, actually, I'm going to make product instead of using everyone else's. I can do this, and I'm going to go and do this, and still keep doing this. You said you had a birthday yesterday. We were talking about how when you're in something, you're committed, and you love it. You're in it for life. It's kind of, it's what you do. Yeah. So you have like your home life, and then you have what you do.
Or not much home life,
Or in the garden. But you're not a party goer, and you're not a boozer.
I used to be a big party goer.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I loved it. It was, and then suddenly the party was over.
Yeah.
And I've done all the parties, and I get an invitation to a party now, and I go, oh.
But I do that. Where is it? Is it Claridge's? Is it Claridge's? Can we go?
Yeah.
Is there anything you haven't done career-wise that you'd like to do? Like movies, or have you done movies, like anything kind of?
I'm not very good on film. I mean, I have huge admiration for someone like Carrie Warren, who does amazing films with Cate Blanchett and Nicole Kidman and many others. And Carrie was my mentor really in the beginning, because he worked in the salon and I was watching what he was doing. I feel that I get bored on a film set. I mean, I like a job that's 1 day or 2 days. I mean, half a day now is great, but 1 day or 2 days, because have we all got low attention spans now? It's partly that, but partly it's always what I've done is you do one job, then move on to the next one and move on, and it's constantly stimulating. Whereas to do the same thing over and over, I couldn't do it. I'd be, should we do it this way today? I'd be rubbish.
They'd be like, there's no continuity,
rubbish.
Sam.
And I'm not good. Oh, no, I'm a nightmare for the continuity person. And I think there's a lot of downtime. There's no sort of...
It's not inspiring or creative.
I don't
it's
find
just
it
following
inspiring.
a set routine.
I find as I get older, I'm very conscious of repetition. I don't want to keep doing the same thing. And that was partly doing the products, because we had done a big exhibition at Somerset House. We did a book and we did the products all at the same time. So it was really busy for a few years. And so doing those things was very, very different to what I usually do. And I think continue doing all that. I did a TV series which got one series, but I had a great time doing The Big Blowout. It was a really amazing experience with incredible people. I'm sad that it didn't work out, because I think it could have done really well if they'd given it a bit more chance. I've loved doing that, and I'm loving doing all my content, shooting our content in our studio and being a part of this. I'm now a part of, with about 10 of us in the team. So we're now a part of this brand, which is a whole new thing for me too. And we have new products all the time. We have new product development all the time. So there's new things coming all the time. Yeah.
It keeps it fresh.
I think so. No,
yeah,
I think the repetition, I think when you start at my age, I start thinking, no, I've done that before. I don't want to do that again. I don't want to, it was kind of, at one point to me, I didn't realize it till COVID. I realized that I felt like I'd been on a hamster wheel of, it's September, it shows, it's this, it's that. And my whole life was ruled by the fashion calendar and the fashion world. And after COVID, I thought, it doesn't have to be like this. No. It doesn't. And I really enjoyed being in my home and my garden for all that time with the nice weather and stuff. And I thought, there's got to be something else.
I've got to sort of,
it gave me time to rethink. Yeah.
Digressing slightly. Yeah. Do you have a skincare routine?
I don't have a routine, but today I put on this morning some of the, hard to get hold of now, the Bioessence oil. The squalane oil. I've got pretty good skin. My skin's not bad, except for I've got psoriasis.
Okay.
And that almost disappeared after COVID, weirdly.
How bizarre.
I've only got a couple of spots of that now, and I've had that all my life. And I don't know. I have no idea.
What it was.
Strange, isn't it?
Rest.
And I've had no hay fever since COVID either, and I was a big hay fever sufferer.
Did you have the vaccine? Could it be the vaccine? I have no idea.
Because I had no hay fever before the vaccine came out, because I got COVID very early on, right at the beginning. So it could possibly be vaccine. I don't know. And I've talked to a few doctors, and they don't know either. They don't know and really wants to even touch it.
If it's better, then
so I do that. I do the, what's it called? Is it La Posay? What's it?
La Roche-Posay.
La Roche-Posay. They've got a psoriasis cream, and I've got a little bit on my scalp, tiny bit on the scalp, and behind my ears, and I just I put a bit of that on every day. It doesn't really cure the psoriasis, but it moisturizes it really well.
Yeah.
I use Caudalie body milk
because it's the only thing that's
not claggy on my hairy legs. So
it's a beautiful body product.
I use Charlotte's night cream, magic cream. I do that every night. I've been doing Revita Brow on my brows, because my brows kind of disappeared in my old age. And actually it's really worked after a few months. It's been amazing. Yeah. It's been amazing.
The Revita Lash one, or is it Revita Brow?
I think it's Revita Brow it's called. I don't know, we'll have to look it up. But I think it's called Revita Brow. It's Revita Lash, but Revita Brow, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if your kit went on fire, what would you save?
Hairspray. My modern hairspray, because I can do anything with it. I can set hair with it. It's heat protection up to 230 degrees. We're constantly improving things, because we could only get the heat protection up to 180 or 200, I think it was before. So the new batches.
I didn't even know that, and I use that product.
Yeah, they are, and so we kind of constantly working with technology. I mean, it's not easy, is it? You know that to be ahead of things, isn't it? I had Chris Martin on the radio a while ago talking about his tour and the sustainability aspect of part of doing a tour. He said, because people were saying it was the most sustainable tour ever, and he said, yes. He said, but we're still flying around on jets. We're just doing what we can, and that's. I'm not saying it's the most sustainable tour, but we're doing what we can, and I think there's so much pressure on everyone to be the most sustainable. It doesn't always work, and I think it's if you're thoughtful, mindful about it, and you're trying your best to make it work. Because we're looking at a new packaging now. It's all recycled and recyclable, but we're looking at a new packaging now that's compostable. Yeah. But I did some wipes that are we're the first people to do them, that are made from tree compost as hair wipes. Yeah. And they're completely compostable, but certain stockists won't stock them because they're single use. Even if we said, they're
just
compostable.
Chuck it, yeah.
So it's a bit of a minefield, you know? So we do what we can. Sorry, I digress. What was your question?
I think you answered the question. I got so engrossed, I can't even remember what I asked. Do you have any particular memories of when you were younger of hair? What made you think hair? What were your sort of earliest memories around hair?
My earliest memories of hair was, it was from the Beatles, Rolling Stones. So I had to have long hair. So I ended up, when I was in 1970, I had the longest hair in school. I had hair down to here. I had a feather cut down to here.
A feather
went
cut?
Through all the glam rock stuff. And then discovered David Bowie. And that was the beginning of really looking at hair. Because before it was hair as a kind of statement, then it was just looking at hair. And then I went to teacher training college. I hadn't thought about hair as a career or anything like that. I went to teacher training college, which I hated. And my friends owned a hairdressing salon and a disco and
as you do,
a restaurant, burger restaurant, all in one building in Scotland. It was very ahead of its time in 1974, and tried being a DJ. That was rubbish. A waiter I was not good at, but the hair salon, I used to help them out in there on a Saturday to get some money, and I'd drive the van. I was a window cleaner as well, and I suddenly got the bug for that. It was the people in the hair salon, I think, that I found quite glamorous, you know. And I bought into that glamour. And then in the hair salon, I started looking at Vogue magazine, and there'd be all those amazing Bailey shoots and
Avedon and
it was British folks. It was Bailey and Barry Latigan and Parkinson. And I got kind of really into that. And then I ended up just leaving college and working in my friend's salon. So that's when and then moving to London and seeing all these amazing, Bianca Jagger used to come in the salon and people like that, and going to the clubs in London, because, you know, every hairdresser goes to the best clubs in London, don't they? We used to go to the Embassy on a Sunday night because it was free drinks for an hour. So we'd get absolutely pissed. We'd have 8 tequila sunrises between 7 and 8.
And hope you weren't working on Monday.
Oh, yeah. Well, most hairdressers don't.
Yeah.
So it was a Sunday night.
So it's going to be full of hairdressers.
And I think just seeing the way hairdressers look and the way the girls used to have those big thatch perms, and it was extraordinary. And we used to dye our hair with felt tip pens because they didn't have crazy color. Jesus. So you'd be standing in the queue to get in the rain, and the dye would be running down your white shirt, you know. Heady days, yeah.
Did you, was that your most extreme hair? A feathered blonde?
A feathered.
What happened when you found Bowie? What did you do? I did a perm.
It was the perm because my hair's poker straight.
Yeah.
Thick, dark poker straight hair. And I had to have the perm so it could blow dry high on top, you know, all that stuff.
I had an 80s perm.
And then I had
the
wedge.
Did it.
I had the wedge with the blonde streaks. I had a good wedge because I could do that.
I feel like we all had to have a perm. It was like a rite of passage, especially through the 80s.
It's not now, though, is it?
No, mine was horrendous.
Yeah.
It was proper, just like corkscrew. I'd had a bob, so it kind of came out like, because I didn't have it cut. The neighbour did it, and it just came down and then out, and it looked like a helmet, like some kind of sci-fi helmet.
That was very de rigueur, though, wasn't it?
My dad had a perm. Can you imagine? And he was half bald, so it was like curly around the back.
Oh, I love that.
The shame.
I think there's a book in there somewhere, isn't there?
I had dyed my hair black and crimped it. Yeah. Mum walked in, my mum burst into tears, like, oh my God, what is she doing? Sam McKnight, thank you. Icon, legend. Like, you know, there's not many people around that we can say that about in this industry, but you, sir, are at the top of the tree.
Well, I try my best. That's all we can do.
You should also do like some kind of, I feel like you should do some Audible books, because the voice is like, yeah, like, well, that's the best I can do. And that laugh, that filthy laugh. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was lovely.